You ever buy a piece of property thinking it's going to be your peaceful retirement dream, only to find yourself 3 days later standing knee-deep in marsh muck with a police cruiser in your driveway and the HOA president accusing you of federal crimes before you've even had your morning coffee? Yeah, that happened. My retirement project turned into a legal showdown so fast I barely had time to process it. Let me back up a sec. So, I'd bought this abandoned little lake. Looked rough, smelled rougher. 20 years of neglect, and God knows what washing up in the reeds. I'm talking old tires, broken concrete, some kind of half-rotten dam that probably started out as beaver work and ended up as a neighborhood dumping spot. I figured, why not clear it out? See if I could get some fish biting, maybe have a beer or two on the dock by fall. Simple plan, right? Not in Ava White's world. See, Ava is our HOA president. Tall, silver hair, folder under her arm. Thick enough to stop bullets, and a way of speaking like she's got the power of Congress behind her. She and Officer Harris show up before the sun's properly up, and she's quoting the Clean Water Act. Section 404, right there in my soggy front yard, telling the cop I'm destroying wetlands without a permit and should be immediately remanded for environmental destruction. You know what I mean? Like I was some kind of eco-terrorist for cleaning up junk. Officer Harris asks, "Sir, what exactly were you doing out there?" So, I tell the truth, just cleaning debris the last owner left. Tires, concrete, and that weird dam. But Ava lights up like it's Christmas, starts in about destroying wetland infrastructure, waving her folder like Excalibur. The cop, bless him, asks for documentation, tells Ava to go through proper channels, and gives me a civil complaint number before heading out. As they leave, my boot kicks something metal in the reeds. I dig it out, a rusted, faded sign, U.S. Waterway, Federal Navigation Project, authorized 2003. The kind of thing that makes you stop and wonder if the rules are different than everyone's pretending. Ava goes silent for about 3 seconds, then claims the sign's expired, which, honestly, was my first hint she might not know as much as she was letting on. That night, I flip over the sign, find coordinates and numbers that mean nothing to me, but seem important. So, I do what any stubborn engineer does. I research. 3 highlighters, coffee gone cold, and more government websites than I care to count. Turns out, those coordinates link my lake to the Willow River, seasonal flow, which means sometimes it's federal, sometimes it's not. That's the loophole. The next morning, certified mail arrives. Ava's been up all night too, apparently. 5 pages of legal citations, threatening everything from federal prosecution to $50,000 a day fines. I start to panic, but then I remember what that sign really means. If federal jurisdiction applies, her state codes might not matter. So, I file a permit inquiry with the Army Corps of Engineers, document everything, even buy a staff gauge to track the water levels, DIY style, thanks to YouTube. The idea is to prove whether the lake really connects to the river during high water. If it does, Army Corps has the say, not Ava and her lawyers. Then things get weird. That night, headlights outside, someone's filming my shoreline from the road. Next morning, the staff gauge arrives from the county, and I plan it right there at the water's edge, feeling a little like I'm raising the flag at Iwo Jima. I start logging measurements, snapping GoPro footage, building a paper trail, hoping it'll save my skin. That week, the neighborhood HOA meeting goes off like a bomb. Ava runs a full slideshow, before and after shots of my damaging cleanup, legal citations, doom and gloom about property values. The vote, 71-18 against me. Cease all activity until further notice. Not exactly the warmest welcome to the neighborhood. But then, a twist. Mrs. Clark, oldest resident around, stands up and says she remembers the federal sign. Years back, someone took it down, but she always thought it meant the government was watching. Ava brushes her off. Expired designations, state jurisdiction now, but it plants a seed of doubt. And then, right as I'm packing up, my phone buzzes. Army Corps. Preliminary review indicates seasonal navigable connection. Previous determinations from 2003, federal jurisdiction likely. Suddenly, Ava's citations look a whole lot less scary. But, as always, the devil's in the details. Federal law isn't about who shouts loudest. It's about paperwork and process. Over the next week, I dig deeper. I file FOIA requests, cross-check invoices, and here's where it gets wild. I discover that last year, the HOA hired a landscaping company to manage the waterway. $2,847 for a seasonal obstruction, aka they paid to build a fake dam to cut the lake's federal status, so they could control it under state law. The work order literally says, block seasonal flow channel to eliminate federal navigation designation. And guess who signed the invoice? Ava White herself. With the evidence piling up, the Army Corps bumps up their site survey. Inspector Torres from the county comes out, documents the dam with a GPS and macro lenses. Beavers don't use carriage bolts, he says, jotting everything down. It's artificial, all right. Built to break the law, not save the wetlands. State hearing comes fast. Ava brings a professor, Dr. Wells, who spins my cleanup as environmental disaster, and the judge rules a temporary cease and desist. No work until permits and studies are done. But I've got my trump card. That same morning, the Army Corps emails me their determination, federal jurisdiction confirmed, prior obstructions under investigation, restoration must go through them, not the state. HOA emergency meeting. Ava starts in about compliance, but Mrs. Clark interrupts. Let Logan speak. I lay out the Army Corps findings, the invoice, the dam report. Board members go pale. Ava loses her steam, realizes federal penalties for blocking navigation are way steeper than anything she was threatening me with. I propose a non-interference covenant. HOA agrees, signs it, and just like that, the fight is over. No shouting, no lawsuits, just a quietly civilized retreat. The next morning, the Army Corps sets up their tripod, issues the permit. And here's the part that'll stick with me forever. The same neighbors who'd voted me down show up with gloves, rakes, and thermoses of coffee. We pull the dam, clear debris, replant natives, turn what was a battleground into a community project. Even Ava joins in, passing out clipboards, organizing work crews, and by noon, she's running the restoration day like she was born for it. No speeches, just practical help, and even a handwritten checklist for ongoing compliance. When it's all done, I plant the old federal sign by the water, now a weatherproofed landmark with a little plaque, reminder of what can go wrong when people fight over the wrong rules. 6 months later, the lake's thriving. The staff gauge is the kids' science project, the handbook I wrote about 3 questions: who authorized, what's the scope, where's the paperwork, gets used by new property owners all over the county, and even the HOA runs monthly workshops on water law. Ava's apology wasn't emotional, but it was honest. Logan, you were right about jurisdiction. I focused on state law, not the bigger picture. Next time, I'll do the research. That's what sticks with me. When you get the paperwork right, and everyone works together, even the messiest conflicts can turn into something kind of beautiful. And that's how I learned that property rights and environmental protection don't have to be enemies, as long as you know which office to call first. So let me ask you, what would you do if your neighbor's protection project turned out to be the real violation? Drop your thoughts below, tell me your wildest HOA or property story, and let's see if we can't figure out where the paperwork really leads. 9.